When passion for sport collides with intense global conflict, everyone pays attention. That's exactly what unfolded during the much-anticipated final stage of the Spanish Vuelta cycling race. An event that was suddenly thrown into chaos by pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Curious about how a world-class race was derailed by political outrage? Read on. The streets of Madrid, normally a celebratory backdrop for the closing day of this elite cycling tour, erupted into turmoil on Sunday. Protesters, firmly expressing their opposition to Israel, managed to disrupt the race's grand finale. Waving Palestinian flags and displaying anti-Israel banners, these demonstrators blocked parts of the race route and hurled crowd control barriers onto the course itself, leaving both spectators and riders in shock. Police and protesters clashed in close proximity to the expected finish line, forcing the athletes to dismount and halt progress just 50 kilometers, about 31 miles from the scheduled endpoint. With the situation escalating and the road impassable, restarting the race appeared increasingly unlikely. Danish rider Jonas Vingegaard of Team Visma Lease Bike seemed poised to secure overall victory, having established a decisive lead over rival João Almeida on Saturday. With a 1-minute, 16-second advantage, Vingegaard was looking forward to what is typically a ceremonial final ride into the Spanish capital. But here's where it gets controversial. Even at the climax of a major sporting event, the focus shifted dramatically to political protest. Hundreds of protesters continued to occupy the route, some unfurling banners from balconies overlooking the street, sending a clear and unavoidable message to both the crowd and the global broadcast audience. The disruption also cast immediate doubts over whether the traditional awards ceremony could proceed, an issue that was left unresolved as of the latest reports. In an attempt to restore order, the race was briefly resumed after initial interruptions, but controversy struck again as the resumed ride was halted once more during ongoing negotiations between authorities and event organizers. Protesters, demonstrably vocal and waving Palestinian flags, even heckled the team support vehicles as they inched down the blocked streets. Anticipating controversy, officials had already assigned more than 1,500 police officers to oversee the day, supplementing an existing security detail of around 130 officers who had traveled with the race. The scene was extraordinary. Riot police, mounted officers, and even camouflaged military vehicles were visible near key points of the route. Despite heavy security arrangements and a palpable atmosphere of tension, there were no major incidents at the race's starting point in El Pardo, some 103.6 kilometers or 64.3 miles away from Madrid. But as the event progressed and the number of demonstrators swelled, an estimated 6,000 protesters confronted by a crowd of around 50,000 cycling fans, the tension reached its breaking point. And this is the part most people miss. The race had been a battleground long before the final day. Earlier, Israeli-owned team Premier Tech had already removed their brand from team uniforms after having attracted significant protest. Over the previous 11 days, more than half the stages were either halted, shortened, or marred by incidents involving demonstrators, with at least 20 arrests. In one notably alarming incident, a protester waving the Palestinian flag ran onto the course, resulting in a crash that forced a rider's withdrawal. Even logistical aspects, such as the race's final distance, were affected. The last stage was trimmed by 5 kilometers due to traffic and safety concerns, directly linked to the protests. Organizers and authorities found themselves forced to alter plans repeatedly, fundamentally changing the character of what was supposed to be a triumphant finale for world-class athletes. Assuming no further complications, the finale would mark Jonas Vingegaard's third Grand Tour triumph, adding another prestigious win to his 2 Tour de France victories in 2022 and 2023. But nothing about this year's Spanish Vuelta felt routine. This saga leaves us with a burning question. Should political action be allowed to interrupt sporting events, or does the immediacy of some causes outweigh the spirit of international competition? Was the disruption a necessary stand, or an unfair sabotage of athletes' dreams? We want to hear what you think. Do these protests cross a line, or are they a justified part of global discourse? Share your perspective in the comments. Would you have acted differently if you were there?